Hi, this is Rachel from the North Carolina Science and Engineering Fair, here to help you with the files and forms you'll need to submit to the Scientific Review Committee. In this video, we'll be discussing Form 5A and 5B, one of which you'll need to complete if you worked with vertebrate animals. So what are vertebrate animal studies? These are any study with the active involvement of vertebrate animals, and vertebrate animals are animals that have a spine. This includes studies that involve family pets. Your local SRC, or the SRC at your school, will determine if a veterinarian needs to be consulted based on the risk involved in the study, such as administering drugs or supplements to the animal. Studies in which animals are just observed with absolutely no interference from the researcher in their environment are exempt from this requirement for a form. So I mentioned that you'll need one of these forms if you work with vertebrate animals, and I've shown 5A on the left side of this slide. Form 5A is required for research involving vertebrate animals that is conducted in a school, home, or field research site, and SRC approval is required before experimentation. The student will complete the top half of this form. They will provide the name and the type of vertebrate animal used. Also provide details for husbandry or how the animal was cared for during the study. They will also describe what will happen to the animals after experimentation. If applicable, the student should attach any wildlife licenses they needed to complete their research. They should also describe any deaths that occurred during the course of the experiment. The local SRC will then complete the top portion of the bottom box on this form. The approval on this form must be received prior to the student performing any experimentation. And there are some signatures that are needed on this form. A veterinarian should sign if an animal will receive any medication or supplements that are beyond their normal day-to-day receipt of medication or supplements. And a qualified scientist or designated supervisor should sign for all experiments. That's the signature in the right side box. The other form that might be needed is Vertebrate Animal Form 5B. This form is required for research that involves vertebrate animals that is conducted at a regulated research institution. This form also requires that the student supervisor having received IACUC approval prior to experimentation, and so this form must be completed and signed after experimentation because the researcher's supervisor received approval before the experiment. So we don't need this form completed before experimentation. The student should complete the top portion of the form. And an IACUC protocol number, that's a number that the researcher's qualified scientist should have, must be included on the form. The IACUC signature page from the research institution and not the full protocol must be attached as part of the form as proof that the researcher's qualified scientist had approval for these studies. The qualified scientist should then complete the bottom portion of the form, that's questions 1 through 6. They must include all the information requested, and they must complete and sign the bottom box. And the signature on this form must be handwritten or digitally time-stamped. And again, digital timestamp is something that's generated by a program such as Adobe Acrobat. If you have any questions about what's been discussed in this video, the rules for the North Carolina Science and Engineering Fair are outlined at www.ncsef.org/rules, and there are complete descriptions of the rules provided at www.societyforscience.org/ICEF/international-rules. You can also email us at src@ncsciencefair.org. Thanks.